Kindness is one of the most beautiful qualities a person can have. It is a virtue that connects us, helps us build relationships, and creates a more compassionate world. But kindness should never be mistaken for weakness. Too often, people who are naturally giving, loving, and considerate find themselves in situations where their kindness is exploited. They give endlessly, always thinking of others, only to realize that the world doesn't always reciprocate the same energy. Being kind is not about letting others walk all over you. It does not mean saying yes to everything at the cost of your own well-being. It does not mean tolerating disrespect or mistreatment just because you want to be the bigger person. Unfortunately, many people learn this the hard way. They believe that being kind means always being available, always compromising, and always forgiving, even when others take advantage of them. True kindness comes from strength, not from a lack of boundaries. It is about knowing when to give and when to hold back, when to help and when to step away. If your kindness is being used against you, it is no longer a virtue, it becomes a weakness that others will exploit. The world is full of people who will take what you offer without ever giving anything in return. They will see your kindness as an opportunity to benefit themselves without considering your feelings, needs, or limits. There comes a time when you have to ask yourself, is my kindness helping or harming me? If you constantly feel drained, unappreciated, or manipulated, it's a sign that you need to set stronger boundaries. You have to learn to recognize when your kindness is not valued and when it is being misused. It is not your responsibility to always be the one making sacrifices. You do not have to be the person who fixes everything, who carries the weight of others while neglecting your own needs. Many of us have been raised to believe that being kind means being selfless to the point of exhaustion. We are told that good people always put others first, but this is a flawed idea. A truly kind person knows that their own well-being matters just as much as anyone else's. You cannot pour from an empty cup. If you keep giving without refilling your own energy, you will reach a point where you have nothing left for yourself. And that is not kindness, that is self-destruction. Saying no does not make you a bad person. Walking away from people who continuously take from you without giving back does not make you unkind. Protecting your energy, time, and peace is not selfish, it is necessary. There is a huge difference between being a kind person and being a person who is taken for granted. People will only respect your kindness if they see that you respect yourself first. So what can you do? Start by setting clear boundaries. Recognize who genuinely values your kindness and who only wants to use it. Learn to say no without guilt. Understand that you are not responsible for making everyone happy at the cost of your own happiness. Surround yourself with people who appreciate you, who reciprocate your kindness, and who understand the value of mutual respect. The world needs kind people, but it needs strong, kind people. People who know their worth, who give without losing themselves, and who uplift others without being dragged down. Being kind is a powerful quality, but only when it is balanced with self-respect. Kindness should never be a reason for others to take advantage of you. It should be a strength that enhances your life and the lives of those around you. So be kind, but never let that kindness come at the cost of your own happiness, dignity, or peace. Taking care of yourself is not selfish, it is necessary. Yet many of us struggle with the idea of putting ourselves first. We feel guilty when we say no, when we take time for ourselves, or when we prioritize our own needs over the demands of others. Society has conditioned us to believe that selflessness is a virtue and that being a good person means always being available, always giving, and always sacrificing. But the truth is, if you don't take care of yourself, no one else will do it for you. There is a reason why airlines tell you to put on your oxygen mask first before helping others. You cannot be there for anyone else if you are running on empty. If you constantly put others ahead of yourself, neglecting your own needs in the process, you will eventually burn out. And when you reach that point, you will have nothing left to give to yourself or to anyone else. Prioritizing yourself is not about neglecting others. It is about making sure you are in the best possible position to show up for yourself and for the people you care about. Many people feel guilty for putting themselves first because they worry about how others will perceive them. They fear being labeled as selfish or unkind, but there is a huge difference between being selfish and practicing self-care. Being selfish means acting without regard for others, only thinking about personal gain. Prioritizing yourself, on the other hand, means recognizing that your well-being is just as important as anyone else's. It means acknowledging that you have needs, dreams, and limits that deserve to be respected. The truth is, people who genuinely care about you will understand and respect your boundaries. Those who try to guilt trip you for taking care of yourself are often the ones who benefit from your lack of boundaries. They are the ones who are used to you always saying yes, always being there, always sacrificing. But real relationships, whether they are friendships, family bonds, or romantic partnerships, are built on mutual understanding and respect. If someone cannot handle you prioritizing yourself, it is a sign that they were more interested in what you could do for them rather than in you as a person. One of the biggest obstacles to prioritizing yourself is the fear of disappointing others. Many of us are people pleasers. We want to be liked, to be accepted, to be seen as good and dependable. But constantly living for the approval of others is exhausting and unsustainable. You will never be able to please everyone, and the more you try, the more you lose yourself in the process. Instead of worrying about disappointing others, think about what happens when you disappoint yourself. Think about the times you've said yes when you really wanted to say no, the times you've put someone else's comfort above your own, the times you've ignored your own needs just to avoid conflict or judgment. Every time you do this, you send yourself a message that your feelings and well-being don't matter. And that is not a life you deserve to live. So how do you start prioritizing yourself without guilt? It begins with a mindset shift. Remind yourself that you are worthy of the same love, care, and attention that you so freely give to others. Set boundaries and stick to them. If something drains you, step away. If someone constantly takes from you without giving back, reevaluate that relationship. Learn to say no without over-explaining. You do not owe anyone a justification for taking care of yourself. Give yourself permission to rest. Take breaks without feeling like you have to earn them. Invest in your growth, your happiness, and your peace. And most importantly, understand that putting yourself first is not an act of selfishness. It is an act of self-respect. When you take care of yourself, you become the best version of yourself. And that version is the one that can truly make a difference, not just in your own life, but in the lives of those around you. Many of us struggle with saying no. We hesitate, over-explain, and sometimes even say yes when we really want to say no, just to avoid disappointing others. We have been conditioned to believe that refusing someone's request is rude or selfish. But here's the truth: saying no is not only necessary, it is also a sign of self-respect and personal strength. No is a complete sentence. It does not require justification, explanation, or apology. You do not have to provide a long list of reasons to make your no acceptable to others. You do not need to soften it with excuses or overcompensate by offering alternatives. A simple no is enough, and if someone struggles to accept your no, that is their problem, not yours. The fear of saying no often comes from a deep-seated desire to be liked, accepted, or seen as a good person. We worry that refusing a request will make others think we are unkind, unhelpful, or even ungrateful. But agreeing to things just to please others at the cost of our own time, energy, or well-being is not kindness, it is self-betrayal. True kindness includes being honest with yourself and others about what you can and cannot do. Think about all the times you have said yes when you really wanted to say no. Maybe you agreed to take on extra work, even though you were already overwhelmed. Maybe you attended an event you had no interest in because you didn't want to upset the host. Maybe you let someone borrow money, even though it made you uncomfortable. Every time you say yes when you really mean no, you are putting someone else's comfort above your own. Over time, this can lead to frustration, resentment, and even burnout. Setting boundaries is not selfish. It is essential. People who respect you will understand when you say no without needing an explanation. Those who expect you to constantly prioritize their needs over your own are the ones who will struggle with your boundaries. But that is a reflection of their entitlement, not your unwillingness to help. You are not responsible for managing other people's reactions to your decisions. One of the most empowering things you can do is practice saying no without guilt. It may feel uncomfortable at first, but like any skill, it gets easier with practice. Start small. Say no to things that don't align with your priorities or values. When someone asks for a favor that you don't have the capacity for, respond with a polite but firm no. If they press for an explanation, simply repeat yourself, "I'm not available for that." You do not owe them a detailed reason. It is also important to remember that saying no does not make you a bad person. You can still be kind, compassionate, and supportive while setting limits. You can still care for others while making yourself a priority. In fact, when you say no to things that drain you, you create more space for the things that truly matter: your well-being, your passions, and the relationships that nourish you. So the next time you feel pressured to say yes when you really want to say no, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, am I agreeing because I truly want to or because I feel obligated? If it's the latter, remind yourself that no is a complete sentence. You do not have to justify your decision. You do not have to feel guilty. You have the right to protect your time, energy, and peace. At the end of the day, the only person who truly knows what is best for you is you. And if something does not serve you, support you, or bring you joy, you have every right to say no without explanation, without apology, and without guilt. No matter how much you do, no matter how hard you try, you will never be able to please everyone. And the sooner you accept this truth, the freer and happier you will be. Many of us grow up believing that we need to make everyone around us happy. We are taught to be agreeable, to avoid conflict, and to always put others before ourselves. We seek validation from friends, family, colleagues, and even strangers, hoping that if we do enough, say the right things, and act the right way, everyone will like us. But the reality is, no matter how kind, hardworking, or considerate you are, there will always be someone who disapproves, criticizes, or expects more from you. Trying to please everyone is exhausting and unsustainable. You bend over backward for people, compromise your own needs, and say yes when you really want to say no. You shape yourself into what others want you to be, only to find that their expectations keep changing. And the worst part? Even after all that effort, there will still be someone who is unhappy with you. Think about all the times you have sacrificed your own happiness just to keep the peace or gain approval. Maybe you stayed in a toxic friendship because you didn't want to hurt the other person's feelings. Maybe you pursued a career path that didn't excite you because it was what your family expected. Maybe you said yes to responsibilities that left you drained because you didn't want to disappoint anyone. But in the process, you disappointed yourself. The truth is, the need to please everyone is rooted in fear, the fear of rejection, the fear of being judged, the fear of not being good enough. We want to be accepted, to feel like we belong. But real belonging does not come from constantly trying to meet other people's expectations. It comes from embracing who you truly are, even if that means some people won't like you. One of the most liberating things you can do is to let go of the need for universal approval. When you stop trying to make everyone happy, you start focusing on what truly makes you happy. You begin to prioritize your own goals, dreams, and well-being. You make decisions based on what is right for you, not what will make others comfortable. This doesn't mean you stop being kind, compassionate, or considerate. It simply means you stop sacrificing your own needs for the sake of keeping others happy. There is a difference between being a good person and being a people pleaser. A good person is kind because they choose to be, not because they feel obligated to. A people pleaser, on the other hand, acts out of fear of upsetting someone, fear of being disliked, fear of not being enough. When you start prioritizing yourself, you will notice that some people don't like it. The ones who benefited from your constant people-pleasing may try to guilt-trip you. They may accuse you of being selfish, unkind, or difficult. But that is only because they were used to taking from you without giving anything in return. True friends, true family, true supporters will respect your boundaries and accept you for who you are, not for what you can do for them. At the end of the day, you are the only person who has to live with the decisions you make. So why let other people dictate how you live your life? Why waste your energy trying to satisfy people who will never be satisfied? Instead of trying to be everything for everyone, focus on being true to yourself. Not everyone will like you, and that's okay. Not everyone will agree with your choices, and that's okay too. What matters is that you are happy with the person you are becoming. The world does not need another person who is afraid to take up space. It needs people who are bold enough to stand in their truth, even when that truth makes others uncomfortable. So stop trying to please everyone. Start living for yourself, because in the end, the only approval you truly need is your own. Kindness is a beautiful quality. It has the power to heal, connect, and uplift. A kind word, a helping hand, or a thoughtful gesture can make a world of difference in someone's life. But as powerful as kindness is, it must be paired with wisdom. Being kind without being smart can lead to exhaustion, manipulation, and disappointment. Many people mistake kindness for weakness. If you are too generous, too forgiving, or too accommodating, some people will see it as an opportunity to take advantage of you. They will take what you offer without gratitude, expect more without hesitation, and never consider how their actions affect you. This is why kindness must be intentional. It must come with boundaries, self-awareness, and the ability to recognize when it is being misused. Being kind does not mean saying yes to everything. It does not mean allowing people to disrespect you, cross your boundaries, or drain you emotionally. There is a difference between being kind and being naive. A truly kind person understands that not everyone has good intentions. Some people will only take, never give. Some will manipulate your generosity for their benefit. And if you are not careful, you may find yourself constantly giving while receiving nothing in return. One of the smartest ways to be kind is to recognize the difference between those who appreciate your kindness and those who exploit it. Not everyone deserves unlimited access to your energy, time, or generosity. It is important to observe how people treat you. Do they respect your boundaries? Do they show gratitude? Do they reciprocate kindness when you need it? If someone only seeks you out when they need something but disappears when you need support, That is a clear sign that your kindness is being taken for granted. Another way to practice smart kindness is by learning to say no when necessary. You do not have to help everyone who asks. You do not have to overextend yourself just to be seen as a good person. If being kind to others means neglecting your own needs, then it is not true kindness, it is self-sacrifice. The best kind of kindness is one that is given freely without resentment or exhaustion. And that can only happen when you take care of yourself first. It is also important to understand that being kind does not mean avoiding conflict or always keeping the peace. Some people mistake kindness for passivity, believing that a kind person should never disagree, stand up for themselves, or call out mistreatment. But true kindness includes honesty. It means speaking up when something is wrong, even when it is uncomfortable. It means holding people accountable for their actions while still treating them with respect. You can be kind while still being firm. You can be compassionate while still having strong boundaries. Kindness should also be given where it can make a real impact. There is a difference between giving to those who genuinely need and appreciate it and giving to those who simply take advantage. If you keep pouring into people who never give back, you will eventually have nothing left for yourself. Be kind to those who value it. Be kind to those who return it. And most importantly, be kind to yourself. Smart kindness means knowing when to give and when to walk away. It means choosing where to invest your energy so that it brings positive results instead of draining you. It means understanding that kindness is not about pleasing everyone, it is about making a meaningful difference where it truly matters. At the end of the day, kindness is a strength, but only when it is paired with wisdom. So be kind but be smart. Protect your energy, set your boundaries, and give where your kindness is valued. That is how you create a life filled with meaningful, genuine connections without losing yourself in the process. You have every right to take up space in this world. Your thoughts, your voice, your dreams, and your presence matter. Yet so many people go through life shrinking themselves, apologizing for their opinions, making themselves smaller to make others comfortable, and holding back out of fear of being too much. But you are not put on this earth to live in the shadows of others. You are meant to stand tall, take up space, and own who you are unapologetically. From a young age, many of us are taught to be agreeable, to not be too loud, to avoid making others uncomfortable. We are encouraged to blend in rather than stand out. Over time, we internalize these messages and begin to doubt ourselves. We hesitate before speaking our minds, second-guess our decisions, and sometimes even downplay our successes to avoid making others feel insecure. But in doing so, we betray ourselves. Owning your space unapologetically means recognizing your worth and refusing to shrink for the comfort of others. It means showing up as your authentic self without feeling the need to justify, explain, or tone yourself down. It means walking into any room with confidence, knowing that you belong there just as much as anyone else. One of the biggest barriers to owning your space is the fear of judgment. We worry about what people will think if we assert ourselves, if we take the lead, or if we demand what we deserve. But the truth is, people will always have opinions whether you play small or take up space. So why not choose the path that allows you to live fully? Why let the fear of judgment hold you back from being who you truly are? When you start owning your space, some people may not like it. Those who are comfortable with your silence, your compliance, or your willingness to always accommodate them may resist the change. They may call you difficult, too ambitious, or self-centered, but that is only because they benefited from your hesitation. Their discomfort is not your burden to carry. Your job is not to make others comfortable at the cost of your own growth. Owning your space also means embracing your strengths without apology. Too often people, especially women, are taught to downplay their achievements. They are told to be humble, to not seem too proud, or to soften their success so that others don't feel inadequate. But there is nothing wrong with being proud of your accomplishments. You worked hard for what you have. You put in the effort, the time, and the dedication. You do not have to shrink your success to make others feel better about themselves. Confidence is not arrogance, it is self-assurance. And you have every right to be confident. Another key aspect of owning your space is setting boundaries. People who do not respect your space, whether physically, emotionally, or mentally, do not deserve access to it. If someone constantly interrupts you, dismisses your ideas, or tries to overshadow you, you have every right to assert yourself. If someone invades your personal boundaries or drains your energy, you are not obligated to accommodate them. Taking up space means making it clear that you will not tolerate being overlooked, disrespected, or taken for granted. At its core, owning your space is about self-acceptance. It is about realizing that you do not need permission to be yourself. You do not need validation from others to exist boldly. You do not have to fit into someone else's idea of who you should be. The world is big enough for all of us to shine, and your light does not dim anyone else's. So stand tall, speak your truth, Take up space in every room you enter. Walk with confidence, knowing that you are enough just as you are. And most importantly, do it unapologetically because you owe yourself that much.